So imagine this. You take some ooh-woo Catgirl merchandise, go back in time with it, show it to Victorian Londoners and tell them it's art. It'll scramble their brains. But show it to Charles Darwin and tell him this is the apex predator of its ecosystem. He'll be confused, but likely intrigued. Unfortunately, time travel would violate the laws of matter. But I'll explain the argument you should make if reality chooses to betray me. The practice of appropriating animal body parts dates back to prehistoric times. Our ability to survive in colder climates, for example, was entirely dependent on the fur pelts of animals already evolved to live in those places. This ability, stemming from our great intelligence, exemplifies how natural selection pushed us to dominate the animal kingdom. Quick science lesson for the uneducated. Natural selection was first proposed by Charles Darwin and is the process by which species either evolve, die out, or diversify as the environment in which they live changes. Today we know the exact process by which this plays out, thanks to advances in science allowing us to recognize and study the genomes of living beings. Random mutations will occur and pass down through different lineages, changing the function of or adding onto genetic material. These mutations might prove beneficial and become dominant over time, such as hair allowing creatures to spread to cold climates, or sprouting wings allowing them to go airborne to evade predators. And a major environmental shift occurred about 25 years ago. Pop culture has undergone many evolutions over time, and has always reflected current attitudes and sensibilities. Toward the end of the 20th century, in the 80s and 90s, pop culture valued a few key qualities: edge, guns, stoicism, and thinking that anything cutesy and colorful was either for kids or just for girls. But the tide began to change around the turn of the millennium. Nowadays, qualities like cuteness and gentleness have stronger widespread appeal than they did in the pre-internet age. There's room for both to exist right now, but just like in nature, environmental shifts happen gradually, with the dominant life forms being whittled down as new lineages rise up to replace them. This shift can be attributed to a few factors. Pokemon was huge. You don't need me to tell you that. It still is. The wide variety of designs gave it a broad appeal, and showed the millions of kids who played it that cute and cuddly doesn't preclude strength. And every succeeding generation continues to impart these sensibilities. But there's a bigger, broader cause at play. The late 90s and early 2000s saw a mass importation of anime from Japan to the United States, to great success. And there's a specific reason why it gained such a strong foothold. American animation was either geared toward children or adults for the longest time. Anime was filling out an empty niche: teenage audiences. Many of these anime showcased the strength of feminine sensibilities, but many were able to perfectly blend masculine and feminine sensibilities, garnering widespread appeal. This environmental shift began small, but grew over time. And now it reigns supreme. And this shift coincided with the rise of the internet. This new digital biome created a selective pressure to craft new, interesting personas. And as those who grew up watching anime started feeding into this ecosystem, cute personas diversified and gained dominance over more niches. And this shift gave rise to new apex predators. There's a reason Catgirls are everywhere. They're highly marketable. But hey, let's be fair. Any animal can be made kawaii. But cats are king. Fight me. The environment is changing to favor cuteness, gentleness, and huggability. And environmental changes can have dramatic results. It's not impossible that this is the future status quo. At the very least, I'm confident that it's here to stay and will keep getting stronger. But natural selection will always apply. There will be the fit and the unfit.